and we are guided by industry leaders from Snowflake, Alation, and Soda. As organizations increasingly embrace the cloud for its scalability, agility, efficiency, the importance of an easy and painless migration process cannot be overstated. And this is something that all three hear from customers very often. So in this session, Snowflake will start. They will lay the groundwork for a successful migration because they are the best at at what they do. And then they will Yasser from Snowflake will give some valuable insights to make sure your organization is prepared. And then Alation will talk about the critical aspects of governance, cataloging, and basically planning and making sure that you plan and do everything properly for a migration. And that's then with safeguarding the integrity, security, compliance of your data throughout the migration journey and afterwards. And then lastly, Soda will talk about data reconciliation techniques to make sure that what you migrated also actually fits with what was in the plan, business metrics and technical metrics. We hope that by the end of the session, you have a good understanding of and learn some new things on how to navigate the complexities of cloud migration, and you can do it with confidence. So without further ado, let's dive into the discussion and discover how your data can thrive in the cloud. Let's start with introductions. I'm joined today by Yasser, Michael, and my colleague Matthijs. Let's just do some introductions to break the ice. Yasser, to kick things off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Anything you can share?
Great, thanks, Owen. Hello, everyone. My name is Yasser Najafi. I'm the Senior Manager of Technology Alliances at Snowflake. I'm responsible for building on strategic partnerships around tighter integration with some of our technology partners, specifically Alation, and working with other partners like Soda to make the experience of migrating data into the Snowflake platform and to get better insights from your data in a much more timely and cost-effective manner.
Awesome. Really good to have you with us, Yasser. Thank you. Michael, could you tell us a bit about yourself as well and bring us closer to the world of governance and catalogs?
Sure. So my name is Michael Meyer. I'm a senior product marketing manager with Alation. Prior to joining Alation, though, I've been most of my time has been spent as a technician. 30 plus years worked with data, and actually have done some migration work to Snowflake. So this is a great session to be part of. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome that you've done it, that you've lived through it. Thanks for being with us. And then lastly, but by no means last, Matthijs, tell us about a bit about yourself, please.
Hi, Koen. So yes, nice to meet everyone. I'm Matthijs, the director of product at Soda. So I've been working for a couple of years already in the data management space, and have been facing indeed, or have seen those real life issues that come with migrating data to the cloud myself. So I'm more than happy to tell you a bit more around how Soda's solution can help you with that.
That's awesome. Okay, excellent. I think we're ready to kick things off. Yasser, I'm going to give you the control first, and then we can hear from the Snowflake world. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. So I thought it would be best to understand, kind of set the stage around why customers and organizations are migrating data in the first place, especially to the Snowflake Data Cloud platform. We at Snowflake, we understand that every application, every workload is created differently, or they have different coding requirements, different data requirements. And so when we were first building out Snowflake, we saw that data was scattered across different architectures, maybe across different cloud platforms as well. And so they were looking for a way to centralize their data, to be able to have a simplified, one source of truth, well-governed platform that was going to serve all their data requirements. And so that was generally the inception of Snowflake and the value proposition, to be able to provide that single source of truth, secure, governed, cost-effective data cloud. As we kind of expanded and grew the company, we understood that applications were the heart of every data consumer and data producer. And so an application without data was essentially a blank piece of paper. So we wanted to provide the ability where applications are getting the most real-time and rich data as possible so that they can best serve the clients that they're facing. And to do that, we decided to open the gate and allow for developers to also build their applications within Snowflake. So when we talk about migrations typically isn't just moving data from one source location over to Snowflake. We see it as a holistic process of being able to work with customers, work with organizations to understand when you're going to move data and the application, how can we do that in a way where it's not going to impact your end users, but also it's not going to cost you more than actually running the applications. So these are the types of conversations that we have with customers when they say we just want to migrate over to the cloud to Snowflake. It's not necessarily an easy just lift and shift of your data. And Snowflake, we pride ourselves in. Next slide here. We pride ourselves in being able to provide that platform where all use cases can be able to be deployed under one single pane of glass. So we see customers who start out using Snowflake for data engineering use cases, but then they expand on and they bring in additional use cases around machine learning and data science. But also we're seeing them now build applications with the full stack directly on Snowflake infrastructure. And we have 9,400 customers today. This slide is a little bit outdated. Our earnings was reported yesterday, so we currently have 9,400 customers who are actively using the Snowflake Data Cloud platform as a means to serve either data and or applications. But we also have a massive ecosystem where partners like Alation and Soda can provide value on top of the value proposition that Snowflake provides. At Snowflake, again, we understand that we would like to encompass all of the necessary workloads that a majority of these organizations have to offer, but we also want to promote innovation. We have hundreds of partners who are building fantastic technologies that plug directly into the Snowflake platform that provide a better experience for our customers. And migration is absolutely one of them. And hundreds of, maybe thousands of our customers have used solutions like that we're going to talk about today from Alation and Soda to migrate their stack over to Snowflake. We've got hundreds of customers who have migrated Teradata over to Snowflake. Disparate Hadoop architectures that were deployed back in the early 2010s that kind of have been sitting there from converted from a data lake to a data swamp. We've helped organizations move those data sets over to Snowflake to be able to provide better insights. Obviously, our bread and butter is around data warehousing. So the legacy models of deploying data warehouses on physical infrastructure, that's been a market that we've been able to dominate. But also we're looking at other cloud providers starting to migrate over to Snowflake. They understand that they're going to get more cost-effective infrastructure by moving their data over to Snowflake, even though we are cloud agnostic and we run on all three major public cloud vendors. And so some of our customers, as I mentioned earlier, when we talk about migration, it's typically not, there's no easy button, but there is a process that Snowflake and our partners allow them to get the better experience. We were able to help Micron migrate over to Snowflake in less than 4 months, and we were able to help Tapestry essentially migrate everything over from Hadoop, which was really left untouched, mainly because all the use cases around Hadoop kind of fizzled away as we got closer to 2017, 2018. And so they just left their data where it was. And so we were able to move that data over to Snowflake and provide better insights to the business units. And so this is really kind of the conversations that we currently have with customers. I'll leave it with, Snowflake is the platform that allows you to have data all the way to application. We have a rich ecosystem of technology and partners that allow you to take the next step as it relates to innovation. And Michael's going to talk to you about all the great things that Alation has to provide around how we can actually make that migration actually happen. Michael?
Thanks, Chancellor. That was really great intro and a lot of great information there that you shared. And so when we think about the migration process, one of the things you always have to consider is how do you plan for this so that you can be successful. And so when you look at it from Alation's perspective, there's 3 key areas that help support a successful cloud migration. And that first area really is around being able to excuse me, avoid that lift and shift, right? So you really need to look at what you have and think about it in terms of that legacy system and what data that you're really wanting to move to Snowflake. Now, one of the things you want to have in your data intelligence platform is broad connectivity to your legacy sources and also a good integration with Snowflake in order to help make this happen. And so with that then, the other thing is we, inside the Alation platform, we have what we call behavioral intelligence. And so we can actually track and see what are those top tables, what are the most popular tables that are being used. And so this can give you an indication of maybe an area to focus on first for the migration and then prioritize other areas. Now, in addition to that, when you think about there's going to be pockets of data within your organization that you really may not, there's always those few pockets, right, that you don't know a lot about. But with our behavioral intelligence, we can identify top users so you can search out these folks and get a little bit more of their knowledge and helping with that. So as you identify these areas that you want to actually migrate, one of the most important things to do is to really take a look at your current legacy system with lineage and impact analysis. And what you'll be able to do is really go deeper into what are all those relationships between the various tables in databases, but also all of your reporting assets and dashboards, because that's a critical component too that you don't want to overlook as you prepare to move to Snowflake. And so with that, then you have kind of that full scope of like the first area you may want to migrate. So now it's time to actually start working towards preparing and documenting this process. And so what we see is a lot of customers actually document their migration plan inside Alation using articles. And what this provides is great visibility for all stakeholders to go to one place to see on how the migration is taking place. Now, as you start to physically move and get things into Snowflake, we'll just use Teradata as our example of our legacy system. So you can then go into Alation, into that Teradata data, the tables and stuff, and start to mark them with our trust check flags that the Teradata one is deprecated. And at the same time, then you can actually tell the users why and point them to the new one in Snowflake so that they're guided to the most current and accurate data as you're going through this whole process. And that's really key to being able to help out users during this. And then the other thing that's really critical too is to be able to have analytics to track and report on your migration process progress. And we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail in just a little bit. Now, the last area as you start to work through is really take the time to think about data quality and governance. So this is a great opportunity, but it also has some stakeholders can be a little nervous because they want you to make sure that you can show them that the quality is good in the legacy system as it is now as you're moving it over to Snowflake. And so with our open data quality framework, we work with great partners like Soda to be able to actually help ensure that quality as the migration is taking place. Now, the other thing too is make sure that from a governance perspective that you have your policies in place and defined so that you can help mitigate risk as you're going through this whole process. The beauty of moving from, let's say, whether it's a Teradata, SQL Server, or whatever, to Snowflake is now you can actually implement physical controls. So things like masking for privacy, which was very critical in a few years ago. I was actually working on a project to move SQL Server to Snowflake, and that was critical for us. So these are all things that not only as part of the the migration, these are the real benefits that you can get from the migration in terms of governance. So when we talk about, again, having those metrics available to us, what you want to be able to do is kind of track and understand the usage on these legacy systems and on Snowflake as you're going through the migration. And so with our Alation consumption tracker application or app, you can actually start to see all of the various systems, both legacy and Snowflake, to understand the compute time that's going on, even down to the second, so that you can see that. But I think what's even more important is to really be able to visualize and see where you're at in the whole migration process. So as you see in the chart, what you have is the Teradata is in green and Snowflake is in blue. So you see as you start to get to the transition where the crossroads start to occur here, now we're starting to see the momentum building and everybody's really getting excited about getting everything over to Snowflake. So what you want to be able then to do is to continue that progress. And the last phase, I would say, when you get to that last 10 to 20%, make sure that you are really being vocal with your stakeholders that we need to get that moved off so that you can avoid those those legacy system costs so that you can get migrated completely over to Snowflake. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our SODA team to talk about ensuring success.
Thanks, Michael. So yes, indeed, there has already been provided a lot of context around how you should actually prepare and plan for a data migration project. So that can actually help you to ensure that data migration project is happening successfully. So first of all, SODA actually provides you with an end-to-end data quality platform that helps the data teams to detect, analyze, but in the end as well, prevent data quality issues from happening. So we all know that poorly managed data migrations, they can become very lengthy and very costly as well. So therefore, it's critical that you can actually ensure the success of such projects. And while you're migrating data from one place to another, you want to make sure that you're not losing any data along the way or that the data is not changing drastically. And you can validate that using SODA's reconciliation checks. And SODA's reconciliation checks allows you to go and compare your source and target data based upon the different levels. First of all, you can go and compare on a metric level, and that allows you to compare aggregated metrics between your source and target the data sets. And to do so, you can use any of the out-of-the-box metrics that SODA provides you, like, for example, the row counts or the minimum or the maximum of a given column, but also the amount of missing values or invalid values in a column. But at the same time, you can also define your own custom metric based upon an SQL query. Like, for example, if you have an important KPI that you want to go and compare between your source and target. And once you have done so, you can define that those metrics need to exactly match, or that they can only be less than 2% the different. The other approach is where you can go and compare the actual schemas. So that's where you will compare the schema of your source and target data sets and identify any differences between them. Like, for example, columns that have been disappeared, or columns that have been renamed, or certain column types that have changed. So that will allow you to be alerted when, for example, a certain date field suddenly moves to a text field, which then down the line will be way less usable for analytical purposes. And the most detailed way of comparing your source and target data and identifying that you're not losing or any data, or that the data has not changed, is doing it on a record level basis. And that actually allows you to detect inconsistencies in the actual records of your data. So let's imagine that you're moving customer data from your operational system into your Snowflake warehouse. You want to make sure there that a customer with a given ID still has the same address and name as it had within your source system. And in case issues would have been identified, you can then use SODA's root cause analysis capabilities to figure out what is going on. So in essence, how SODA really works is it allows you to go from a reactive data quality approach to a preventative data quality approach by collaborating both with your business users and your the data engineers. So first of all, right, you can go and enable SODA's observability capabilities to get a sense of what the situation looks like and to automatically monitor some key characteristics of the data that could potentially lead to issues into the future. Think about, for example, tracking the evolution of your schema. Next, SODA can actually, or SODA empowers you to go and collaborate with the consumers of your data, which are very often the business users who possess the necessary data domain knowledge to define what the actual quality requirements need to be for them to fully trust the data. But those people are very often and they're not really technical. So that's where SODA's and the no-code user interface for check authoring actually comes into place, allowing them to easily contribute their quality requirements. And that can, for example, be the quality requirements as part of a given the data migration project. And then next, of course, you want to make sure that you can actually prevent those issues from happening into the future. And that's where SODA works together with the data engineers and where you can easily bring all of those quality requirements inside SODA's data contracts, which you can then go and enforce as part of your the data pipelines and CI/CD processes, to make sure that you can go and catch issues before they end up in your production environments, and therefore minimizing the impact it might potentially have on the business. And over time, of course, you want to be able to govern and oversee this full process, and that's, for example, where our Alation integration comes into play. So all of the information which is gathered by SODA will be brought directly inside the Alation data catalog, where all of that quality information will be visualized on top of the metadata catalog by Alation, providing the consumers who are looking to find and better understand certain data that they need to build out a given use case, to enable them to then make informed decisions based upon how good or bad the quality of the data is. So if we have a closer look on how you can actually make sure that unsuccessful data migration pipelines are being prevented from happening. So here you see a quick diagram where we're moving some data out of a source system. So that could, for example, be a Teradata or SQL Server, as mentioned before. And we're moving that to our Snowflake warehouse, first of all, into a staging environment, allowing us to validate a few things and then only move it into production. What you can see is that using SODA's the data contract capabilities, you can, after the data is being extracted out of your source, you can go and verify already an ingestion contract, which might already look at certain basics, like making sure that the data is actually not empty, making sure you're getting the expected schema, and things like that. And you can load that into your staging environment into Snowflake. So that could, for example, be a separate database or a separate schema. There, you can then make use of SODA reconciliation checks, allowing you to compare metrics or to compare the actual record level data to validate that the migration has happened successfully. And in case it happens successfully, you can then execute that migration pipeline in production, meaning that you will move that data into your production database within your Snowflake warehouse. So of course, in case those reconciliation checks have identified issues, you can actually configure this process to circuit break and then use SODA's tooling to figure out what is going on, make sure that those issues are being resolved before you then run that process in production. Similarly, this type of process can also be integrated directly into CI/CD processes. So let's imagine that you have more of a continuous migration project where you're constantly, at a given time, you're constantly migrating data from an operational system to system Snowflake. And for example, in between, you're also applying certain transformations to make that data much more consumable from an analytical point of view. So, for example, you might have data engineers who are working on that on the transformations part of that migration project, and using SODA's CI/CD integration capabilities, you can actually make sure that whenever the data engineers make changes on the migration logic or on the transformation logic, allowing them to assess the impact of their changes before they push them to production. And that is very important because or they can do that by validating the SODA contracts as part of their, for example, their pull request flow. And that will give them an indication of whether they're going to break or basically not commit to the actual the data contract. And whenever they see that, they will then have a chance to go and collaborate with the people that might be impacted downstream before they actually push that change into production, and therefore potentially causing impact down the line. So that's a bit of a quick overview of how SODA can actually help you to ensure the success of the data migration project and allow you to deliver trustworthy data. Back to you, Koen.
Hey, thank you, Matthijs. Very, very insightful. Thanks to all our speakers. I've made a lot of notes here. Clearly, Snowflake being best in class for the data cloud, basically. Alation needing it to make sure that you prepare for success and you plan for success and you can actually measure it with the consumption tracker. And then Matthijs from SODA, I note the capability to actually prove a clear metrics on things like reconciliation. We have a couple of questions, so I'd like to go through those. I'm just going to take, see what I have here. One, Matthijs, let's stay with you since you just talked about this. If a company has their own metrics, right? Because it's all about, don't want to lift and shift. It's the end user value, the use cases, both Michael and Yasser talked about. If for my use cases, I have my own metrics that I want to compare between source and target, is that possible? How is that done?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So like I said before, like SODA basically provides you with a long list of out-of-the-box metrics, which will probably cover most of your use cases. In cases they would not, you can always fall back to SQL, and so you can go and define your own metric based upon a given SQL query. You can then bring that into SODA and use it as part of SODA's reconciliation checks to then go and compare that specific metric between your source and target environments.
Got it. Very clear. Very clear. Yasser, one question for you. How does Snowflake address the challenges of having various data types?
Yeah, great. That's a great question. Snowflake, we may seem like data that's in Snowflake is represented in a structured format, but we actually do support various data types, whether that be structured data, unstructured data, or semi-structured data. The value proposition here is that we provide is we want to be able to provide the data types that are going to serve the workloads that our customers are going to try to solve for, and we want to make the data easily accessible and easily consumable by the applications. So with that, while under the covers, we support various data types, whether that's data in tables, text data, image data. We want to be able to serve a majority of these applications by putting those data types into in a structured format so that applications can quickly and easily take advantage of that data sets.
Yeah, awesome. Excellent. Michael, let's go to you. A question around the use. Say like Alation is really good at knowing which data is most popular. So how can people, or how can companies that are migrating, how can they see with Alation that users are starting to use the data that's migrated?
Yeah, so not only from the consumption track, but in the platform itself, what we do is we actually show those popularity metrics, and so you can start to see use. The other thing too is we start to actually capture the queries that people are executing, so that you can see those being part of it too. So you definitely start to see that use growing, and hopefully, one of the things too, as you promote it throughout the organization, you'll start to see a little bit more conversations and chatter too about internally inside the platform of the usage going on.
Got it. And staying with you, Michael, one question: how is the consumption tracker made available?
So I believe the plans is that it's going to be actually an app that it will surface through Snowflake. So that more to come on that. We're actually finalizing those details right now.
Excellent.
So yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That ties it nicely back to your opening, Yasser, of all these partners building and customers as well, building on the apps indirectly in Snowflake. Maybe linked to that, as they do that, where does the Snowflake marketplace fit in, and what are the benefits of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We started off the marketplace by being able to allow our customers and partners to be able to provide data in the data marketplace, and that actually we saw a tremendous adoption when we released that back in 2018, and we wanted to go one step further and bring in the capability of applications now being able to be made available in a marketplace. So a lot of our customers wanted to build applications that were private to their organization, so other lines of businesses can take advantage of specific capabilities. But now we're seeing that customers want to build applications and provide them in our marketplace, and to be able to build a monetization capability around it, where some of the applications that are currently in the marketplace are free to use, but some of them are very specific on solving a very unique use case where other customers or users would likely purchase those applications. And now the beauty behind this is that you get all the governance around security, all the capabilities that Alation and Soda have talked about today, and to be able to serve the full stack inside of Snowflake, but also being able to leverage your Snowflake credits to acquire those third-party applications brings the ease of use value proposition to fruition. So where you're going to see, now and this year and next year, as you kind of embark in our Gen AI journey, is more rich applications that are going to be made available in our marketplace, and the evolution of how we're bringing all these technologies together to solve a greater purpose.
Yeah, awesome, amazing. Maybe one last question for you, Matthijs. How can actually maybe also for you, Michael? Like, how can people try it? Most people know Snowflake, easy to try out. Is that the same for Soda, Alation? Could you comment on that? Maybe first you, Matthijs.
Yes, sure. So Soda provides an for free trial for 45 days, giving you access to the full set of capabilities of Soda, and so you can easily sign up for a trial via the website of Soda, so soda.io.
Great. And with Alation, you can actually find us out on the Snowflake Partner Connect. And so you can spin up a free trial right at that point in time too. And so it makes it very, very convenient to be able to start to kick the tires, not only with Alation, but also with a Snowflake data source behind it.
Fantastic. That's a perfect wrap up. I think that's That's all the questions I had. I want to thank our panelists. Really, thank you for your insight and making the time and coming with us. And thanks everybody listening live and on the recording. Appreciate it. Thank you.